We are live with the man of God, Pastor OBED, still on the matter of the star of our destiny, how you can effectively, accurately decode it. And tonight we are dealing with matters relating to evil manipulation of our star. Now, man of God, the stars are in the heavenly realm.
Yes.
How do they bear influence upon the earth? The stars are not walking the earth here with us. They are all the way up there. How do they exert their influence over us here on the earth?
You have to understand that heaven and earth are actually connected together.
Heaven and earth?
Yes, they are actually connected together.
Okay.
If you remember last Sunday, I was talking about the rising star.
Yes.
And I spoke about how that the rising star, on the day you were born, the moment you gave your first breath, the star that was in the horizon,
yes,
and the horizon is the meeting point of heaven and earth. So that star that was in the horizon was actually you.
Okay.
And it was actually marking your emergence into this world.
All right.
Now, we have to understand that the horizon, that is where earth and heaven meets.
Okay.
So if you just look at the stars as that which is up there, then you are behind.
Okay.
But you remember that in the days of Jesus, he walked on water.
Yes.
Now, if you have ever gone to the sea during the dawn or towards evening when there is darkness, you realize that you have the morning star or the dawn,
yes,
the star of the dawn, walking on the sea and coming towards you.
Yes.
Because it walks, that is the rising star. Okay. So it comes with the sun.
Yes.
That is the reason why the day you were born actually speaks of the sun, the star of your birth.
All right.
But before the sun rises on you, we have the morning star coming. The sun is not the morning star.
Yes.
There is the day spring, the springing of the day.
Okay.
So when you were born, for the day to spring, there was a star that was on the horizon.
Okay.
And the star on the horizon, if you see various art pieces, you realize that the morning star coming from the horizon actually walks on the water.
Yes.
Now, water, according to the scripture, speaks of humanity, the masses and the crowd of people.
Okay.
So, in seeing the water, as in the morning star walking on the water and coming, actually denotes the rising star amidst the crowd. Because when you read the revelation of Jesus, he says that the waters are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. So there is one mark of the rising star, which is the morning star or the rising of the star, apart from the sun of your birth. Because the rising star, like I said already, actually welcomes or takes the lead for the sun to follow. So understand this. The day you were born, that month that you were born, the sun was in your house. But before the sun rises, you would have to have the day spring. The star of the dawn. So he said, hast thou commanded the morning since thy days and caused the day spring to know his place.
So the day spring is actually that luminous body that ushers
in the sun.
The sun.
Yes. So you, on the day that you were born, the first sign that started your day, because there is no day unless the day spring.
Yes.
That's how come it's called day spring.
Yes.
So your day sprang by that heavenly body.
All right.
And it was seen at the meeting point of the heavens and the earth, referred to as the rising star.
Yes.
So for you to just think that the stars are in the heavens is a lack of understanding.
Yes.
Because the heavens has a place where it meets the earth, and it meets the earth in the horizon. Right. From that place, we also understand that the word of God says, for a star shall rise. According to the book of Numbers, the chapter 24, he said that I shall see him, but not now.
Yes.
I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob. So we understand that out of Jacob will come a star.
Yes.
You also know that in the book of Genesis, the chapter 39, Joseph says, I saw the 11 stars, and his brothers were 11.
Okay. Precisely.
And he said, bowing down to me. And he said, I saw the sun and the moon. So equally as we see the sun and the moon up there, his father Jacob said, do you mean that myself and your mother?
In interpretation.
In interpreting it.
Jacob understood
that he is the sun, his wife is the moon, and the children are the stars.
All right.
So every person has the provision of God granted to him as the sun, the moon, and then the 11 stars. All of them, along with the person's personal expression, all make up the provision of God that were given to him. So God set us in families. And this family is the potential you are supposed to harness in your being for expression. Now, remember that God made the stars to rule. The stars were not just made to give light. The word of God says the sun to rule the day,
the moon,
and the moon to rule the night.
Right.
But then when you turn to Psalm 136, he does not only speak of the sun and the moon ruling, but he said the moon and stars to rule by night.
The moon and the stars
to rule by night.
Okay.
Now, when you read Genesis chapter 1, the verse 16, you are tempted to think that it is only the moon that rules by night.
Yes.
So he said, and God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. It is in Psalm 136 verse 9 that we understand that the moon and the stars to rule by night.
Yes.
For his mercy endureth forever.
Okay.
Don't forget that the sun rules the day. Now, don't only say the moon to rule the night, but understand that the moon and the stars to rule the night.
Yes.
Now, from that perspective, we understand that stars, the sun is a star, the moon is a star, and the stars also.
Yes.
So we understood last week that the sun, moon, and stars are generically, along with the planets, they are all stars. Generically.
Yes.
Now, from that perspective, we know that there is the timing of the ruling of the sun.
Yes.
So if you are supposed to rule in the day and you miss that time, you cannot rule in the night because the body of the object that rules the day is different from the object that rules the night.
Mercy.
So for you, you are actually an embodiment of 14 stars.
An embodiment of 14 stars.
An embodiment of 14 stars. Now, within that embodiment of 14 stars, don't forget that the moon, along with the 12 stars, are all ruling your night's period.
I mean, it leaves only the sun
to rule the day. So if you miss your day, you now have to take advantage of your night. And if you miss your night, you have to take advantage of your day. What rules the day is different from what rules the night. The moon and the stars have been apportioned by God for the night. And there is nothing that you can do. And these are held by ordinances. And that is what the word of God speaks concerning God's covenant with the day and with the night. And God's covenant with the day and with the night is referred to as the ordinance of the day and the ordinances of the night. This ordinance of the day and the ordinance of the night, according to the book of Job, he says that, do you know the ordinances of the heavens above? Canst thou establish their influence or their rule in the earth? So watch this. The stars, as we have it,
yes.
When God says the sun to rule, he was not saying that the sun is going to rule in the heavens. The sun, though is in the heavens, it rules the earth.
Okay.
So according to the book of Job, the chapter 33, the chapter 38, the verse 33, watch this. He said, and knowest thou the ordinances of heaven?
Yes.
So in the heavens, we are looking at the laws, the written nomenclature.
Okay.
That is what has been written in the heavens. Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? So the dominion is in the earth. but the laws are in the heavens.
Okay.
Now, when God made Adam, he said that he should have dominion on the earth.
Yes.
So the ruling place is in the earth.
Precisely.
Now, also in the book of Job, he says that the day spring to know its place. So the day spring knows its place. It knows its place in two realms. It knows its place in the heavens, per the written nomenclature. It knows its place in the earth, per the ruling order and dominion.
Okay.
We take it again. He said, hast thou commanded the morning since thy days? That is, from the time you were born.
Yes.
And have you caused the day spring to know his place? So the places of the stars are that the stars are in a written nomenclature coding in the heavens, and these stars are actually in a dominion influence in the earth. So on this earth, you need their dominion.
That means that even though they originate or that which drives their working, the coding of it is in the heavens.
Yes.
Their influence
is in the earth.
Their expression
is in the
earth.
So you were brought here on earth to dominate.
Yes.
But then you have an expression in the heavens. That is your nomenclature.
Okay.
You see,
Yes.
so even though I have this body, this my earthly body is for dominion.
Yes.
The part of me which is my heavenly body is for the written code.
Okay.
So we understand that we have an earthly body, we have a terrestrial body,
Yes.
but we also have a celestial body.
Yes. That's what Paul talks about in 2 Corinthians chapter 5.
Perfectly. And then he says that though our outward man perisheth, the inward man within us, who connects. Don't forget that we spoke about the womb.
Yes.
And we spoke about how that the spirit of the heavens connects with the womb.
Yes.
And when you check the Greek word for womb, it actually speaks of spirit.
Wow.
So the spirit realm connects to the heavens. But when we are able to take dominion in the heavens, when we are able to know the nomenclature in the heavens and the divine codings in the heavens, then now we can now have dominion on the earth.
Yes.
Now, in the book of Deuteronomy, the word of God says, God said, I will make your heaven brass. But watch this. The moment the heavens are made brass, the earth becomes iron.
The moment the heavens are made brass,
are made into brass,
the response of the earth.
The response of the earth is that it will become iron.
That means that whenever there is a call in heaven, there is a different response
here on earth. So he says that, and thy heaven that is over your head shall be brass. Now, understand that everybody has a heaven over his head. We are not all operating under the same condition of heaven. Let me explain it this way. Very simple. You should know that the tropical region has its condition.
Precisely.
Even though we are all on the globe.
Yes.
The condition of Kumasi is even not the same condition in Accra, even though we are all under the same heaven in Ghana.
I mean, yes, typically, even if you're using looking at the weather forecast, the temperature for various
places are not the same.
Even though they may be in the same
beautiful
country.
So your heaven is not my heaven.
Wow.
Your atmosphere is not my atmosphere. If we're going very detailed, we'll realize that even in Kumasi, the heaven over Susansu is not the same as the heaven over Edum. Critically, they are very different. So your heaven and my heaven are not the same. Don't let somebody deceive you by telling you, don't look into the heaven. Probably the person's heaven is logged. So when he looks up, he doesn't see anything. The person has tried to understand the heavens and nothing is working for him. But God has opened your heavens up and you are being negligent and irresponsible.
You are coming under the influence of somebody's
experience. So God does not say the heavens would be brass, but he said the heaven over your head. So now, as we are here, we all, as believers, have our various heavenly conditions over our individual unique heads.
That means that it calls for individual responsibility in this matter.
That is how come amongst the 12 stars, there is the unique star. The star of your uniqueness. The star of your specialty. and it is a blessing from God. So this star of your specialty is what distinguishes your heaven from my heaven. That is what distinguishes your condition from my condition.
Okay.
Let's take it again. He said, and thy heaven. He didn't say, and the heavens. So everybody has his heaven.
Yes.
And thy heaven that is over your head. You see how personalized it is?
Yes.
So you have your heaven, and I have my heaven. Even in the heaven that is the hope of the believers, we are all not going to be in the same place. There is the New Jerusalem.
Yes.
And there is the camp of the saints. And within the New Jerusalem, there are also various conditions of the New Jerusalem. There are actually 12 gates within the mountainous Jerusalem. Speaking of 12 different heights and clefts. And cliffs within the mountainous Jerusalem.
That means heaven is not just heaven.
Every
Individual
has his heaven. So it is like to say every individual has his Ghana.
Yes.
Because when we close today, the part of Ghana that I have is not the part of Ghana that you have.
Certainly.
And you know that there are times, even though we are all in the same Kumasi, it will rain in somebody's house and it doesn't rain in another person's house.
True.
Our heavens are not the same. So you have your heaven.
This is phenomenal.
If you don't want the stars in your heaven, let me mind the stars in my heaven. Let me understand the placement of these ordinances and nomenclature within my heaven. So the word of God says, your heaven, that is over your head. But Pastor, we all have our heads.
That's right.
That's
true.
And that is a very typical African proverb.
Yes.
Because when we all decide to go and do something, everybody has his head.
Yes.
It is a that means your heavens didn't help you.
That's true.
Because we all have our individual peculiar heaven and head. My head is not your head, and your heaven is not my heaven.
And thy heaven that is over thy head
Shall be what?
shall be brass.
And
the earth.
watch this. He didn't say and your earth. Did you get it?
Yes.
Because everything has been coded in the heavens.
Yes.
If you're able to own your heaven, then now you can now show the influence for men to see in the earth.
Wonderful.
So I have my heaven and I have my head. But the earth is for all of us. So what dominion are you going to express in the earth to make you peculiar? It is as a result of your peculiar heaven and your peculiar head. So he said, your heaven that is over your head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. So where are we operating? Where is your actual jurisdiction, for which reason you are operating a jurisprudence? So if you are able to understand your jurisprudence in the heavens, then now you can now take authority to rule within your jurisdiction.
Yes.
Because you are using the laws that has been written in the heavens according to wisdom to operate your words and your influence here on earth. This is the divine nomenclature that has been encoded in the heavens for everyone who comes into this world.
Man of God, this is so insightful. That means that twins,
they all have their heaven,
may come out
because they didn't have the same head.
This is phenomenal.
The moment we don't have the same head,
it makes certain things, appreciable.
That's how come two people from the same house,
yes,
will have different lifestyles,
yes,
different pathways, because your head is not my head, your heaven is not my heaven. So how the heavens control our heads is what influences the earth under us.
Pastor Obed, always a blessing.